Well, now we live in a day where these people are trying to say, well, you know what? Just like Tucker Carlson said, you know what? Muslims love Jesus too. That's what they don't want you to know. But they don't define who this Jesus is. Well, again, it's the same one going back to the Word of Faith preachers that Kenneth Copeland and Brandon Lake's talking about and Stephen Furtick. And that's the Jesus that they're referring to, which is even the same Jesus that the Mormons say. And here's what it is. I think you've related to this in the Third Adam documentaries is it's the little God's doctrine.
Yep.
And what's interesting is I've been noticing that Mormons and evangelicals and Muslims and JW, they've been doing a lot of these debates really. And here's what they're debating: the Unitarian point of view or the Trinitarian point of view. And what they're trying to do is take away the deity of Christ to try to teach that he was an example to where if we follow that, we too can have divine miracles and power just as he did. So not say that Christ took upon himself the form of a servant, just as Philippians tells us, and that he humbled himself and came here, yet he was still 100% God and 100% man at the same time. What they try to do is take away the divine nature and then teach people that if you follow the steps and the patterns, then you can do greater miracles and works than they did. And that's what like I said, all those denominations I just rattled off, they have a very similar mentality. Now, they may change the names at times, like I said, but that's the philosophy around it. And really, if you look in the early book of Acts, I preached a chapel message just a couple weeks ago. They always go back, like they question the resurrection. They question the fact, like, okay, they believe Jesus was here. They believe he was a great man. They believe he was a prophet, just as the Muslims say. But they denounce that he really resurrected. They denounce that he really did and had the power to. I mean, if you look through the scriptures too, you'll see the Trinitarian work in the resurrection, that he resurrected himself. He laid down himself. He had the power to raise himself up again. The Holy Spirit raised him up, and God raised him up. So you see the work of all three together in one. But I just find it fascinating that all of those preachers kind of teach the same thing and basically say, you too can get to the point where you obtain this God-like mentality and stature in the world.
Right. Well, see, that's the thing. People don't realize this as well, is that, okay, you talked about the deity of Jesus Christ, and I wrote this down when you said that. The deity of Christ is the gigantic barrier that must be broken down to embrace the cosmic Christ, which is something we're going to talk about in 3 Adam 5. People don't realize this, but Joel Osteen's wife, Victoria Osteen, she preaches at that church there in Houston. She preached that when Jesus was born in this world, he was not God. And when he was in the temple at a 12-year-old there in Jerusalem, he was not God. He was just a man. But he actually achieved divinity and became God when the Spirit of God came upon him when John baptized him. And that was at 30 years old. So from age, birth till 29 years old, Jesus was not God. But when he was 30, the Spirit of God came upon him and he became God. That is the false gospel of the cosmic Christ, that you are a little God now. You are just like Jesus. And that's what Kenneth Copeland believes. Kenneth Copeland believes I am, and the truth is the Pope believes that too. Okay, he believes that I am the vicar of Christ on earth. And so this is exactly, someone in the comment section just said New Age. That's exactly what New Age is. This is what Gnosticism is, that Jesus was an example for us so that we could become our own God. This is the occult. This is the wicked mystery religions that we're been talking about, and we're going to talk about it some more. And I'm glad that you got a charismatic background, Josh. I hate that you had to go through that, but I'm glad that you understand this stuff. And it is a blessing to me, brother. I'm glad for that. And so, but yes, they say that Jesus became God at his baptism. What a disaster.